Hello everyone, and welcome to today's class session at Baka to Basics, where we move to our second topic in the 5-class series diving into and breaking down the main demographic types of anime and manga that populate the current medium. In this session, we will be diving into the Shoujo demographic, detailing its meaning, origins, and current impact on the modern anime and manga culture. So with that out of the way, I'm Summers from Baka to Basics, and this is Introduction to Shoujo. Class is officially in session. Shoujo, much like its counterpart, the shonen demographic, is defined as a Japanese comic, anime, or movie targeted at a younger female audience, usually between the ages of 8 to 18, and most commonly characterized by a focus on personal and romantic relationships. Japanese magazines specifically for this age group of girls are known as shoujo magazines, and first appeared in 1902 with the founding of Shoujo Kai, or Girls' World, and continued the long-running Shoujo no Tomo, Girl's Friend, in 1908. These comics would be the roots of the wide-eyed looking characters that we see in many of today's popular shows and manga in the shoujo demographic. This defining characteristic can commonly be associated with shoujo manga dating back to the early shoujo magazine illustrations. The most important illustrators associated with the style at the time were Jun'ichi Takehisa and particularly Jun'ichi Nakahara, who, influenced by his work as a doll creator, frequently drew female characters with big eyes in the early 20th century. This style had a significant influence on early shoujo manga, evident in the work of influential manga artists such as Ryoko Ikeda. Ikeda is most popularly known for Versailles no Bara, a manga set against the backdrop of the 1789 French Revolution. It became an instant success, with millions of copies sold around the world since its appearance on May 21, 1972. In 1983, the first 2 volumes of the manga were translated into English by Frederick L. Schott for the purpose of teaching English to Japanese-speaking people. This version was released in North America and is the first commercially translated manga to be available in the country. Back to the roots of shoujo, we had a simple single-page manga that began to appear in these magazines by 1910, and by the 1930s, more sophisticated humor strips have become the essential feature of most girls' magazines. The most popular manga, Katsuchi Matsumoto's Kurumi-chan, debuted on the pages of Shoujo no Tomo in 1938. Right before this boom would be ushered in, though, the Second Sino-Japanese War began in 1937, which caused paper shortages, and many of the girls' magazines merged or ceased publication. As World War II progressed, however, comics perhaps regarded as frivolous began to disappear. Looking at the more modern-day setting of shoujo, we need to address the amazing Naoko Takeuchi, best known as the author of Sailor Moon, one of the most popular manga and anime series of all time, and what many consider to be one of the big bridges between shonen and shoujo communities. The author also just happens to be married to Yoshihiro Togashi, the author of Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. Sailor Moon was revolutionary and very controversial for its time, being heavily edited in the West due to some of its themes. A particular theme was a romantic relationship between 2 of the Sailor Scouts. This was taken out of the Western edit completely and replaced with the 2 being simply portrayed as cousins. Sailor Moon, along with shows that would precede it such as Inuyasha and Cardcaptor Sakura, can be credited with giving us a group of strong female leads and supporting characters set in a more battle-oriented world than shoujo stories had been accustomed to. This development, coupled with well-written narratives for the characters, as well as stories that directed at the main core audience of younger females, had major impact on a whole generation of viewers and readers. The ability to give a broader vibe of a fantastical tale full of action, romance, and intrigue simply hadn't been done with the younger female audience in mind to this point, and it really cannot be undersold how impactful these stories would be on the modern anime culture as a whole. These 3 mangas that would later be adapted into anime, each getting its own set of movies, reboots, larger widespread popularity, helped to change what an outsider looking in would think of a show being called a shoujo. Yes, typically the demographic is meant to be a more romantic noted side, but these influential entries truly show a romance story can also have action and appeal to everyone's taste in the correct setting. Not every shonen has to ignore romance. Not every shoujo has to ignore action. Unlike its male counterpart, shoujo tends to be put in more of a box of, it's a hopeless love story. Will they, won't they storylines. But these entries alone, along with a countless slew of other wonderful stories made throughout the years, go to show otherwise. So for those wanting to get into shoujo in its very unique world, know that there is certainly a little something for everyone. As for the stories more commonly represented with this demographic by the larger audience, we do have a genre commonly known as slice of life. Not all shoujos are slice of life and vice versa, but we will be talking about slice of lives in another series talking about the breakdowns of genres at a later date, so we hope you'll be looking forward to those. In closing, shoujo is a wonderful world with wonderful characters and a pretty cool backdrop as to how it got started. I personally didn't know that shoujo was one of the first mainstream ideas to come out with these one-piece comic strips. It really is amazing to know that the manga and anime culture can evolve in the ways it has, and it really continues to go to show us that you can never just judge a book by its cover. That's all we have for today's session. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Also, leave us a comment down below about your experience with shoujo titles, and leave a suggestion for others to find out about. I've been Summers with Baka to Basics. See you next time. Class is in session.